You may or may not have heard of the term carbon engineering, and possibly an emerging sector itself. Basically, it's a way to deliver large-scale negative emissions by removing carbon dioxide directly from the atmosphere. It can reduce the carbon footprint, theoretically, of transportation by creating clean synthetic fuels made from air, water, and renewable power. A lot that goes into this. In fact, very recently, a group of engineers at the U of C won an award for some of their designs with this stuff. But to talk more about it, Danielle Smith from 770 CHQR joining us this morning. Danielle.
Hi, I'm going to be talking to the CEO of Carbon Engineering today. Now, Carbon Engineering is a company that was established by Bill Gates, is one of the backers, and our own Murray Edwards from CNRL. And it's a really interesting concept that is already working to take 1 ton of carbon dioxide out of the air every day. Now, that isn't going to upset the balance all that much, but if they can get it to scale, this could be the solution for how you get to net zero, which seems to be the new target that everybody is setting for CO2 emissions by 2050. What I find really interesting about this company, of course, is the Murray Edwards connection, because the mayor of Whistler just recently wrote a letter to none other than CNRL, trying to blame them for climate change that is impacting the resort, not seemingly completely oblivious and unaware to the work that that the former CEO of the company is actually doing on trying to reduce CO2 emissions. It's been interesting to see the pushback on that. There's a really great column in the BOE report by an author named Terry Edom, who took a slam at Whistler, saying, you know what, if you're going to hold anybody responsible for the CO2 emissions, maybe you should look at all of the air flight from all of the visitors that you attract to your region and brag about attracting their 3 million per year. So I think this is a kind of an interesting little discussion that's begun, is that there are the forces out there that think that the solution to reducing CO2 is to kill the fossil fuel industry, stop building energy infrastructure. But there's this emerging group of people who are saying, no, we can develop the technology that will take the carbon dioxide out of the air so you can use fossil fuels and you can use them without feeling guilty about it and don't have to worry about it impacting the climate. So we're going to start that debate today.
Yeah, it's a big debate. I've studied these technologies for the last 20 years as they've tried to come to perfection. I think they are getting there, as you do have this conversation. Are the folks from Carbon Engineering, are they worried still about some of the noise just around that this gives permission, though, to sort of uncontrollably continue to consume?
Well, I think one of the issues that we have is that they have to get up to a level of scale that for this to be considered a legitimate solution. And right now they're not there. And to get up to scale, you'd have to, they suggest that we'd have to have a carbon price of about $100 per ton, because you need to be able to have some kind of revenue stream associated with capturing carbon dioxide and some kind of reason why people would want to adopt this technology to be able to reduce it. So that's the question that I think is going to be a thorny one. We already have Albertans and the rest of Canada pretty grumbly about the idea of a $30 carbon price. If you're talking about tripling it, can we get to that level to make these kinds of technologies viable before we end up with a yellow vest style backlash in Canada? I'm not sure if we know the answer to that one yet, but we're going to talk about that today.
Lots of brilliant people working on lots of good ideas. Danielle, thank you so much.
My pleasure.